Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a W208 CLK. This is one of Matt from High Peak Autos. He's come in for a service and a health check and he's asked us if we can fix a few things on the car. However, there's a bit of a catch. He's given us a bit of a budget with this car. He's on a budget with it. As we all know, Matt likes to overspend, so he must be like reining it in a bit.
Now, I only paid £1,000 for the car, so it's cheap. So that's why I think it's worth spending another grand on, really.
Another 1,000, right?
Yeah. If I make that my budget, then I've got a really good one for a couple of grand, I think.
I would be happy with that, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's given us a budget of £1,000 and just make it a nice roadworthy car again. Matt's complained about a knock on the front suspension.
There is a little bit of a clunk on the front end, so I'm guessing we've got some sort of worn bushes or something, maybe. Anti-roll bar or something like that.
The front outer anti-roll bar bushes have got quite a bit of wear in them, so the bar's moving independently of the bush. Brake fluid change. This car has only covered 8,000 miles in the last 10 years. That fluid is quite old, so we definitely want to change the brake fluid because the boiling point of that fluid will be really low because it's been sat there so long. The rear brake hoses have got cracking in the rubber hoses, so we're going to replace them at the same time. Really good while you're in there. It'd be a bit pointless doing the brake fluid when you need rear hoses. Front pads and discs. Not only are the front pads getting low, but I've road tested the car, and when I'm driving down the road, I can feel the brake pedal pulsing up and down, up and down. So that's an indication that we've got warped front discs. So we need front discs and pads. The fuel filter on the car looks extremely old and like the original filter. So we're going to change that. Matt has asked us about the heater controls. He said that when he turns it on, see how nothing's happening, and then it's slowly building up and it's eventually coming out. Or the blower resistor isn't functioning properly. We're going to have to get that out and do some tests. Internal handle for the door card is missing. Well, I say missing, it's broken off. Now, I thought that was a part of the door card itself, but it's not. You can buy it separate. So I've contacted Mercedes, and Mercedes no longer sell them. It is not available anymore. So bad news there. However, John has found a company in London that sells internal door handles for W208 CLKs. So we need to get the door panel off, take this old piece out, fit a new one, then we can put our new cover back on. But while we're in there, we've also got a problem with the window, which I will now demonstrate. First problem we've got is this seal has come detached from the window glass metal trim. So we need to tuck that back in there and rebond it back to that. That's the least of our problems. The main problem is, if you look here, when we're closing the door, the glass is smashing on this metal trim. So you can see where the paint's worn off there. So it's not good. While the door panel is off, we're going to see if we can move the glass forward and realign the glass properly so we can open and close the door properly, because that is not good. Right, this is the stuff we've got so far. We've got 2 rear brake flexes, set of front brake pads, fuel filter, made in Germany. Front outer anti-roll bar bushes. I have got 2 brand new bushes, Febby. As you can see, that packet is really old. I have had these in stock for a very, very long time. They actually look old, even though they're brand new. But I'm going to give them to Matt for free. So you can have them, Matt. They're on me.
Thank you for that.
25 quid, so that's 25 quid saved. It's probably saving 50, 60 pound on the discs, even though I'd rather not use them. Probably 25 pound better off so far, because Matt can have some free anti-roll bar bushes that I've had for about 10 years. The wiper blade is doing absolutely nothing. Forgot to mention this in the car. I put the wipers on when I was driving in and it's just smearing the screen, doing nothing. We need a wiper blade. I'm going to have to fit a genuine wiper blade because we need the emblem. We've got to have the Mercedes emblem on the wiper blade. Yeah. It's a classic. All these little fiddly jobs We call them Johnny jobs because John, who works here, stood there, he's very good at this finicky stuff. And I was just saying that once you've done, these are the best jobs because once you've done it, you can actually look at the work you've done. Like Matt will notice that's fixed. He'll notice his interior handle's fixed. All the stuff we do under the car makes no difference. As you can see there, there's a bit of a, it's not even a tear in the seat, the stitching's come away. So Matt's going to get his upholstery guy on that to just re-stitch it all. The wheels have been took off at some point in its life. Me and Matt had a discussion about it. I tried to persuade him to try and get some AMG wheels. So.
It sort of
55
deserves it,
AMG
doesn't it?
wheels.
I might try and find the wheels. Would they have been the 5-spoke ones, like the...
Monoblocks.
I was going to say monoblock, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they would have been like. Right, okay.
I think it would really look the parts. I think you should find some wheels and...
I'll do that then, I think.
But yeah, let's get it on the ramp, let's get cracking. So Nathan's on the rear brake hoses. The rear brake pipes are actually copper, so they've been replaced before, which is good news. But if you look at the rear subframe, the condition underneath this car is really good for its age. It's really good condition, so it's done well buying this one. You can see the rear discs are cleaning up nicely, they've not been used for a while. Plenty of meat left on the pads. Dan is doing front discs and pads. So what he's doing here is he's going to clean up the hub with the hub cleaner to polish that up, so when we put the disc on it's perfectly flat, because last thing we want is the new discs to be uneven and warp. I'm just looking round the car now, the wheels are off, and look at that, there's literally no rot there at all. So this car has definitely been dry stored or very, very well looked after, but I'd say dry stored in a garage because, like I explained about the subframe, it's in really good shape. These were really common for going around the arches. They were also around the boot lock. They used to completely corrode. Also around the number plate lights, everything, but you can see a tiny bit there. But yeah, it's in really good shape. Full AMG body kit. So I was going to do this job myself, and I only went to the toilet and come back, and 3 lads were cracking straight on with it. They were all stood around waiting for a job, so they just took it into their own hands, which is good. Everybody wants staff to show some initiative, but I'm playing cameraman at the moment. So yeah, front discs and pads are nearly done. Rear brake hoses are nearly done. I'll do something in a minute.
Do brake fluid if you want.
Brake fluid, cheers mate. So discs and pads are nearly done now. Carrier's all cleaned. Special grease in preparation. Loctite on all the nuts and bolts. So that's discs and pads done. Nothing too interesting going on there really. Discs and pads done. Now I'm going to change the brake fluid. Rear flexes are done. But if you have a look here, you can see the colour of the fluid. It's over 10 years old, this fluid, since it's last been recorded to have been replaced. Yeah, it's only done 8,000 miles in the last 10 years. I think the current mileage is 108. That needs changing because the boiling point of that will be really low. Even if it isn't, I'd just recommend changing it. 10 years for brake fluid is far exceeded its shelf life. Empty out the reservoir. Looks like engine oil, worn engine oil at that. So brake fluid's practically clear. So get this out, getting towards the end of the day. Filming generally always happens towards the end of the day when we've got a little bit of free time. We don't ever really have any free time, but we'll get the brake fluid done and then I think we'll be going home. All right, first, this is the first caliper we're doing. You do the furthest caliper away from the reservoir. Now people would probably say I'm doing this wrong because the reservoir is on the driver's side. So this is closer than the rear passenger, but it's the one that's furthest away as far as the brake lines go. So the brake lines on this go across the bulkhead, underneath the car, and then across to this side. So this is actually the furthest one away. This has got the longest brake pipe, I'll say. Just before I get comments saying you're doing it wrong, that's how I'm doing it. So we're going to bleed 250 mil out of each caliper, then we're going home. We'll have a brake pedal for the morning because we're going to have to get it off the ramp for the day's work. We'll catch up with you when we get it next back in.
The next day.
Right, back on with the CLK. It's the day after, and yet again, it's towards the end of the day. Still got nice weather. Shut the door. Not got the handle yet. It's on order. Right, I've just fitted a new wiper blade, which is now clearing the screen perfectly. Genuine wiper blade. I had an old one knocking around, so another freebie for Matt. I'm taking this budget quite seriously. So that's clearing the screen, nice. So what did we get done? Discs and pads done, rear brake hoses, brake fluid. Brake pedal is really firm now and right at the top. That's definitely made an improvement to that. So what can I do today? I'm limited on parts. I've got the front outer anti-roll bar bushes to do. Hopefully that'll get rid of his knocking noise he's complained about. We're also not sure if the aircon works, so we need to test that. So a couple more things we can do while we're waiting for parts. See if we come across anything else. We've just noticed the passenger side washer jet isn't squirting very efficiently. So Nathan's just cleaning it out. It's like a special washer jet nozzle file for these old ones. Tons better. Right, anti-roll bar bush, nice and simple. We're just doing the outers. I think he explained before, we had some new old stock that I've had for many, many years. Good for Matt because they're free, good for me because I get rid of them. We don't get many of these 208 CLKs in anymore. They're a bit thin on the ground. People keep asking for a toolbox tour. You could give them a quick preview of the socket drawer. There's the socket drawer. We'll try and do a bit of a toolbox tour in one of the monthly roundups if we've got nothing important to show you. Nice and simple, we're just doing the outers. This is, is it a budget? We're on a budget, but not because anybody's being tight. It's just there's a limit to how much you spend on these things. Good start, the bolts are seized. There we go. Got a fuel filter. I have a feeling it's the original one, so it'd be interesting to see is it or isn't it. See if the fuel's dirty, tip some fuel out of it. What time is it? So hopefully you can see how much it's elongated compared to the new one, the dusty new one. So the roll bar goes through the middle of that and it's just moving around, causing a banging noise. Okay, one down, one to go. Always worth checking on these old ones. I've mentioned it a few times on the channel, but we'll mention it again, and probably many times more. Always worth checking this. This is the steering damper. This car has a steering box and what they call a drag link, which is this full section that runs across. So it includes your trap rod ends, inner tie rods which aren't replaceable. There's a ball joint that attaches to the steering box, one to this rod here as well. On a service, unbolt the steering damper and see if there's any resistance in it. As you can see, that is doing absolutely nothing. So that'll make the steering really light and drift a bit. So we're going to get one of them which will hold the steering a lot straighter, be a lot more precise. The advantage of a steering box is there's turning circles really good. There is also play in these inner tie rod links, which, as explained, aren't replaceable. I'm just wiggling this wheel. You won't be able to see the play, but you might be able to hear it. I can feel it in the wheel. I can hear it clunking. And if I put my hand on this tie rod, I can feel all the movement in it. And the trap rod end boots have got splits in. So what I'm going to propose is, budget depending, if we get an aftermarket one which isn't available directly from a local supplier, I'd have to order it online and wait for it, which is fine because we're not in a rush to get this car back. Save some money there. It wouldn't actually fail an MOT, it would just be an advisory. I think it's worth replacing, get it driving best it can, get it tracked up, new damper, and it will just transform the car. Another job to add to the list. Yeah, it's not coming off without a fight, this one. I'm feeling it's not been off for a few years. The plastic had completely stuck to the bracket. It's like the rust has just bonded it to it. One of the vacuum lines, it completely split there. Replace that while we're in there. And yeah, that is an original Mercedes fuel filter. That has been on there for years. Yeah, we could be opening a can of worms here. I think we'll get the lube out.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
Right, I've finally got some fuel pipes off and got it moving. Beginning to become a bit of a task, but if you look at the colour of the fuel coming backwards out of the fuel filter, so that's not good. So I've got one pipe left to get off and then hopefully I can give you a better demonstration, but I wanted to just capture that on camera. So I've got the filter off. If I tilt see the colour of it coming out? See that coming straight out of the filter? And I'll do it backwards. Look at the colour. So this filter is well overdue its job. See if we can get a date from it. Very neglected item on the older Mercs because of the price of them. This filter is £72 plus VAT, 28 for the first 07. So it has been changed, but 2007, it's many, many years old. But hopefully that was a good enough demonstration of how dirty the fuel filter can get, and eventually it can't do its job anymore, and that dirty fuel is going through your injectors and into your engine. So this car should run a lot better now with a fresh filter on. I reckon we're half an hour into this fuel filter and we're still not finished. So if you get quoted half an hour to do this job, do not be surprised. All right, now to replace the split vacuum line. See if we've got some of that in stock. Oh, it's the wrong size. I
thought that was a bit small.
I know, but look. So I've measured up that end, which is right. But that's for the steel pipe end, and that end is for the fuel pump end. So this hose is flared at one end. I think I'm gonna have to get this piece off Mercedes. It's different internal sides at either end of the pipe. It's not going to stop the car starting, it's only a vacuum pipe, so no fuel goes through it. Let's have a look at the diagram, see if that's available, get one of those ordered. In the meantime, we'll give this a clean up, check for leaks, leave the cover off, never put your fuel filter cover on until you've started the car and check for leaks. That zip tie ain't zipping. Right, I've got that vacuum line ordered from Mercedes. I think it's about £11 plus VAT. Like I say, it's different sizes at each end, so we're gonna have to get one. I thought I could make one, but it's not to be. Make sure she starts. She's now getting clean fuel to the engine. We've got a drag link on order, a steering damper on order. We've got the interior door handle on order, heater, air conditioning.
One eternity later.
Back on Matt's CLK £1,000 repair budget car. I've not worked on this car now for 3 weeks. I've been on holiday for a week. I came back, the garage has been mental. So, however, in the time I've been away and not been able to work on the car, parts have arrived. The inside door handle, we found this company, Octo Classic. They look like it's had the inside door handle 3D printed. Now the colour is slightly different. Considering we can't get that from Mercedes, I'm happy with that. And to be honest, once the outside is attached, like so, it covers it anyway, so you can't see it. So I'm really happy with that. I can't remember how much it was, £70. We'll get the door panel off and fit it. We need to adjust the glass. We need to do something with this rubber seal. What else has arrived? The steering drag link that we've been talking about. It was £300 from Mercedes. We've managed to get an aftermarket one for half the price, so £150. So that's what we're going to get installed today. And we've also got an aftermarket steering damper. Genuine was 120, 130. We managed to get 100 quid off that. We're on this like challenge slash budget type thing. Obviously the car will need tracking after it's done. But anyway, let's crack on. You always film on the good bits. So as you can see, it's quite a substantial thing. We've got 1, 2, 3, 6 ball joints. So for 150 quid for 6 ball joints, I think it's well worth it. Febi's a good brand, happy with that. You could get away with not replacing it. It's only an MOT advisory or a service advisory unless it's excessive. But the price of, I bet these trapwood ends, you can change them separately. I bet they're 20, 30 pounds each at a guess on their own. So we may as well change the lot. We're changing 6 joints. The steering's going to be nice and firm, especially when we've got that new damper on. Smoking. So as you can see, that steering damper's doing absolutely nothing. So as you know, we love the snap-on air hammer to pop the ball joints out. They're getting replaced anyway, it doesn't matter if we damage them. In this case, the ball joint in here is facing upwards, so I can't get it in. So I've got to get the old school out, which is a big chunk of metal with a fork on the end that's tapered. So as you hammer it in, it's forcing it apart. So that's in. That's it, off. Hopefully hear that on camera, that's the play in that inner joint and it's flopping around. Still a bit of resistance in the ball joints. That inner joint flopping around. That one's still tight, got resistance. Yeah, playing that one. 3 out of the 6 ball joints have got minor play, but when you feel that through the wheel, it's like amplified, I'll say, because 3 minors turn into slightly major. We were just going to advise this, but as soon as we were given the old £1,000 budget, we thought we'd go for it. Obviously, if we fitted a genuine one, you're wiping out a third of the budget in one part without labour. So that's that one out. Let's get this new one nice and shiny. Just dropped me fresh shiny nut on the dirty floor. So as you can see with the new one, that inner tie rod, that inner tie rod has got nice and stiff, loads of resistance. Again, and this one, crack it off. See what I mean? Does that make sense? Whereas this one is just swinging around. That one's nice and firm. Right, so which way does this go in? So this is the new damper, nice and firm. I'm telling you, this is going to transform the steering. Matt better be impressed. Obviously the damper's not fitted yet, and you can see how much harder it is to turn the wheels just with all those nice fresh ball joints. So it's definitely going to transform the car. So in total, in these 2 parts, saved £100 on the damper and £150 on the drag link. So that's £250 saved. Doing this the hard, long way because I'm in a rush. I don't want to go to the toolbox and get a ratchet. So now we're just getting the tracking somewhere straight. Both wheels at the moment are pointing in opposite directions. So we'll get it somewhere near, then we can get it off the ramp, get it on the tracking ramp, and align it all up. And then that is this job done. So that's the steering rack done. Next job is tracking, nothing too interesting, special going on there. Heater, we've got the heater left to look at. Air conditioning, I have a feeling the aircon possibly isn't working, so we need to see, has it got any gas in it? We need to do a nitrogen test. We could leave that on over the weekend, maybe a nitrogen test, so when we come in 3 days time, see if it's held its pressure. The heater's just stopped completely. Oh, it's coming back on. Yeah, there's a heater blower motor or supply issue going on here. And we need to get this door panel off to fit our, oh, it's gone off again, handle. We need to adjust the glass. Let's get some stuff done. So John has fitted the 3D printed handle, and I have to say it's a perfect fit. The bolt holes line up, everything lines up perfectly. So once the door panel goes back on, that cover goes over the top, and that is it. But we're going to leave that off because we need to adjust some of the, well, we need to adjust the glass, make it all fit better because it is banging on the metal trim. But yeah, I'm actually really impressed with that. So well done, Octa Classics. Never used them before. A couple of the trim clips on the back of the door card are broken, where the door panel's been on and off over the years. We'll replace those as a while we're in there, so we don't get any vibration from the door. It's the end of the day, so we'll see you. Have a nice bank holiday weekend. We'll see you next week.
3 days later.
Where was we up to? I think we was up to the door handle, interior door handles all done. Whilst the door panel was off, we adjusted the glass. So the glass is no longer touching the metal there, where you can see it's been touching. So when we open and close the door now, no noise, as it was making a right clanging noise when it hit that. So that's all back together. Door handles on, and as I explained, you can't see it now behind, but we need to look at the heating system. We've explained multiple times the speed of the blower motor isn't accurate to the fan speed on the switch. Air conditioning, after we fixed the door, we put the air conditioning on a nitrogen pressure test, and it actually passed. So we need to regas the air conditioning. We've actually already regassed the air conditioning, but we can't test it because we've got all the blower motor controls stripped out of the car for testing. So we'll show you what we've found and what we're going to do about it. So we've got the blower motor resistor out of the car and the blower motor, and we've got a multimeter wired into the circuit. So when we're putting it on speed 1, for example, the motor is not going round and we're getting 0 voltage to the resistor. It's looking like we've got a faulty control unit that's sending the incorrect signal to the resistor, which in then is not turning the motor, and as we can see, we've got no volts. So we'll go to speed 2 and the fan is going round, and we've got 3 volts. Speed 4, 6 volts. So speed 4 should be more than 6 volts, and 5 should be battery voltage, which is, well, it's running at the minute, so it should be 13 volts, and we're only getting 6.7. So everything's running at half the speed it should be. So it's looking like we've got a faulty control panel. So this control panel is about £300 to £400 brand new, which obviously we're not going to replace that for a new one on a car of this age. So we've got a second-hand one. We've got a second-hand one for 30 quid, and we're going to give it a go. We'll fit the new one now, test the aircon, make sure that works, and then I'm going to have to check my list, but I think we're getting somewhere towards the end of this £1,000 budget repair project high peak car. Right, so I've just clipped the new one into place. It's dead straightforward. So new one's fitted, we've got a like-for-like part number, speed 1, and it is working. Before we had nothing. 3.8 volts, 5 volts on speed 2. Yeah, so on speed 2 we've now got nearly 6 volts, and we only had that on full speed. Safe to say this has cured the issue. I'm going to have to hold this motor, otherwise it's going to disappear. It's going to like take off like an helicopter.
3-1 right, Delta, 1129. One heavy configured.
3, 7 volt. We're on 7 volts on max. Safe to say this has cured the issue. I feel like we've got the same problem at the opposite end. Cured one fault, gained another. So I'm gonna have to get another one. So while we're waiting for another control panel to come to fix the heater, I almost forgot actually, we've got to do a gearbox mount on it. We'll get the gearbox mount out, show you why we're changing it, but we're basically changing it because it's dropped a bit. So it's just got to improve the vibration in the cabin. Nice and simple job. Bit rusty that. Wow, it's got rust coming out of that. It's 5 o'clock and I actually wasn't going to film anymore, but Dan's insisted that it's only 5 o'clock and we work till past. So I've had to keep going. I wasn't in the mood. Look at that. Yeah, so it's a nice straightforward job, a gearbox mount on a Merc. So I've just got the gearbox supported on the prop, just to take the weight of it while we just swap this mount out. So we've got the new one, comparing it to the old one, and you can see the gap in the top, and that is without the weight of the gearbox on. So when that was fitted to the car, we could literally fit our finger in the top. But with the new one, you can see how tight that is up there. So it's just got to hold the gearbox in a better position when you're going from drive to reverse and it taking the torque of the engine. So yeah, you can see a big difference there. And that is when it's off the car, let alone when it's on. It's not a bad thing to do a gearbox mount on its own as a cheap repair. If you needed engine mounts, you would always do the full set. But you can do a gearbox mount for a little cheapy. We're on a budget, as you know. I think this is a genuine part. I think it's about 40 quid-ish. So to fit, when I go to fit the new mount, it won't, you can see it doesn't line up on the holes. That's how much the old one's dropped. So I've got you'll see now how much I have to lift the transmission to fit in a new mount. So that's a good way of, you can see how much of a difference that's going to make. Take the weight off, and that is gearbox mount done. And I just can't even get my pinky finger in there now. So that's made a big difference. So we'll just check these bolts one last time, and that is that done. Matt has dropped off some AMG wheels for us, which has made a massive improvement to the car. I'm actually going to take the credit for it. I found them, sent the link to Matt bought them.
Now, to be honest, I wasn't planning to do that. It was Sam's idea. Sam sent me the link for them as well, so I appreciate that. Otherwise, I'd have probably just, rather than spend the money on them, probably just stuck with the old wheels.
And they were a bit of a bargain, actually. They needed a refurb, which Matt's done. Took them to Prestige Wheels for a full refurb, and they look spot on. Back on the CLK again. This is the second control unit had the opposite problem to Matt's. The third control unit I bought, I made a massive mistake. I bought one that didn't have aircon. So this is my third attempt. So I've just fitted it, speed 1. Matt's didn't have a speed 1, and 3, 4, 5 was like 1 and 2 barely. Now we've got 3, 4. I have a feeling this control panel 4 and 5, there's not that much difference. It's better than what he had. I'm not buying another one. This is what you get for messing around with second-hand parts. Aircon is absolutely freezing, so that's good news. Not been able to test that yet, really. I'd say 4 and 5 is the same on that. Yeah. But I'm certainly not buying another one. What's left to do? I think that is it. I think next job now is to literally get it down the road and go through some prices. Road test time. I'm not going to road test it with the roof down. 1, because of wind noise, and 2, it makes me feel very vulnerable. So I've had this car for weeks and weeks and weeks, and Matt has been extremely patient with me. I was on holiday halfway through doing it, and I came back off holiday with all good intentions of getting straight back on it. And as any business owner will know, when you go on holiday and come back, you are landed with a whole pile of things for your attention. So yeah, thanks Matt for being so patient. We've been a bit unlucky with the control panels, but all these control panels suffer with the same problem. Trying to find a good second-hand one is very difficult, and I ordered one without air conditioning, which wasn't ideal. But this is the best one of the bunch. We've got speed 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas before we didn't have 1, we didn't have 2, and 3, 4, 5 was all the same. Nobody's letting me through here. Right, so road test. Put some fuel in the car because it was getting extremely low, bringing it in and out, in and out. You'll be amazed how much a car uses of fuel doing 0 miles, just bringing it in and out of a garage every day. I reckon I've had this car 6 weeks. Oh God, phone's ringing. Right, so Matt's CLK. I've already done a short road test off camera after we did the tracking to make sure it was straight, and it is driving absolutely spot on, perfectly straight. Nice new AMG wheels, fresh tyres. Obviously we did a service on this car, not on camera. As you know, he gave us a £1,000 budget. When he gave us the budget, we kind of accepted it as a bit of a challenge to see how much can we get done within his budget. Because he's not been in a rush to get the car back, it does allow us to shop around for these parts and wait for these parts. Having a car for such a long period does enable us to get things cheaper than normal. We can wait for them, whereas most people come in, the car's failed its MOT, they need it back for the school run, and we just buy whatever part we can get the fastest, which is generally the dearest part. How much is his bill? £1,000 budget. Well, his bill is £1,800. I'm going to find somewhere to pull over and break that down. That sounds like I've gone way over budget, but I can justify the price, so bear with me. I have a little bit of a soft spot for the 208 CLK because it was the first Mercedes I owned. My first ever Mercedes was a 208 CLK. Same engine as this, without the supercharger. So it was a bit slow, but I could get insured on it. So I had the CLK 200 non-compressor. It wasn't a convertible, it was a coupe. I think I bought it when I was 19. And as you can imagine, driving one of these at that age, I thought I was how can I describe that as YouTube friendly? Yeah, leave that to your imagination. Right, there we go. £1,800. Now, before you scream at your screen and say, wow, are you not very good at maths, Sam? Because that's way over budget. Well, it had a service as well, which is on the same bill. That service was £300, and I was given the budget after the service. So we can take £300 off there straight away. 1,800, take away 300, which leaves £1,500.
Correct.
Slightly over budget still. Let's have a look. How else I'm going to justify this is VAT. That would be 1,500 including VAT. So if we take the VAT off that, so that would be £1,200. The budget was 1,000. So I think we've done quite well there. Shopped around a lot for parts, managed to get a lot of things pretty much half the price of what they should have been. Because I'm feeling generous, I am going to do it for £1,000.
Oh, that's nice.
Matt's a really good customer. He's been a customer for many, many years. Way before the YouTube stuff. He never asked for trade discount. He never asked for anything to be done on the cheap. He never asked for any favours. It was a bit of fun, a bit of a challenge. We've had the car for many, many, many weeks. I'm sure he would have liked it back weeks ago. So I'm going to do it, £1,000. What was it in total? 1,200 plus VAT. So I didn't do too bad. £200 over budget. Obviously he can claim the VAT off his VAT bill. That's why I'm doing my £1,000 budget pre-VAT, because I'm sure it'll come off off the bill somewhere. Didn't quite make the budget, but I think spending a little bit extra is well worth it. Nice little whine from the supercharger. They weren't the fastest thing in the world, these, but they were a really, really good, reliable engine. Not much went wrong with this engine. It was a solid little engine. He's got to be really happy with this. Pretty much everything is spot on it. I can't think of much more he needs to do. I don't think Matt's budget convertible's a budget anymore though. He's done a really nice job of it so far, and I know that he's not finished. So I think that concludes this video today. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell to get notifications of our new upcoming videos. Thank you to everyone that's been buying our merchandise. We've sold loads of t-shirts recently. Make sure you go and buy some if you want some. And we will see you on the next one.